at that super that we've got on the TV screen. Snow on the first coast, could it happen?
No. I'm going to be completely honest with you, Lou. I actually can't see anything on my screen. Andy, can we fix this?
Okay.
I don't know.
Andy, go on in. Get
Come
yourself
on, come say hi,
acclimated to be
everyone.
on
No, don't duck. Say hi.
Yeah, you might as well.
Love
That's
the
our
tech
guy,
support.
Sharon on Facebook right now. My favorite album of all time, and certainly I think the best that Fleetwood Mac ever did, was Rumors. And Rumors, just kind of what this is right now. We got some rumors. By the way, Fleetwood Mac had some good weather songs, but that's for another podcast or another discussion. But we got Rumors right now, Lee, and sorry for the lack of introduction, Lee Southwick.
Hello.
I'm Lewis Turner, a couple of staff meteorologists here at First Coast News on your side. And by now, maybe if you're tuned in at all to social media, if you watch the Twitter or the X or the Facebook, there are meteorologists around the country, but there are also amateurs around the country who are sharing computer modeling that would suggest deep south snow. And if nothing else, deep south, really, really cold weather. So that's why Lee and I are here today. We're going to address the rumors and not to rain on anybody's parade per se, or snow on anybody's parade, but maybe bring some reality back and check a little bit with some of this, Lee.
Yeah, so, one thing that we can say, at least for certain, is we do think we're going to get a big cold blast, right?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the models are showing that. We got the Climate Prediction Center obviously highlighting our area and all of the southeastern United States for a big cold blast in 8 to 14 days. But, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to look at different models and different model runs because, Lou, they have been yo-yoing back and forth on what's going to happen. So this first one I have here is the GFS model, the 0Z outlook. And this is what people are going to take a screenshot of and start circulating all over social media.
Absolutely. So a 0Z run would have been a run from last night. So they run this every 6 hours. And the GFS is going to go out pretty long range. So we can get that 10 to 14 day look with this. Now, just remember with any computer modeling, we talk about this during hurricane season as well, and especially during hurricane season, when you're getting that 10 beyond a day out, you're going to be dealing with a lot of different factors, almost like a game of Plinko, where you just, what can you trust? And what you can trust is experience in the area, how long you've lived around these parts, how many times you can think of historically has it snowed, what would history tell you, what would climatology tell you, and then what does the weather pattern suggest? And I think what we can kind of rely on where you get the flip-floppiness, this is the 0Z run showing that white and pink. That would be wintry precipitation, the white being potential snowfall in the computer model, the pink being potential ice or sleet, maybe a freezing rain, but then the rest would be rain. But this shows a pretty good area of low pressure, a clipper system essentially coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. What you got to have snow, Lee, you got to have a deep column of cold air, and especially in Florida, a deep column of cold air that's been in place a while. Mm-hmm. All right, so several days, really overnights with the hard freeze. So you get that cold air that's been in a column in place. So that looks like it's potentially likely here. The question mark is going to be the moisture and this area of low pressure actually panning out. And again, you're showing us the 0Z run.
Right. Okay. So with you saying that, let's look at the 6Z run. So this just came out 6 hours after that other one we were just looking at. And look how different that comes up. So it shows the freezing line way to our north, rain for all of the first coast, all across Florida and all across southeast Georgia. And really even Atlanta now being questioned with this next model run just 6 hours later, if even Atlanta could see some sort of winter precipitation. So it just shows how quickly things will change from even the same model. This is still the GFS model, what we call the American model. And Lou, it's wildly different.
Yeah, and I mean, hundreds of miles different. But you can see how hundreds of miles can make a big difference in snow forecasting. And having forecast snow in the Carolinas a lifetime ago, you know that not even hundreds of miles, you're talking 5-10 miles of a freeze snow line can make a huge difference in whether you're seeing rain, whether you're seeing any sort of snow. So that's a flip-flop. That's your GFS. That goes from a 0Z run later last night to an early morning run, and they'll do these every 6 hours. And of course, we're going to keep watching it. It's just tough to flip-flop back and forth and back and forth. So now even Atlanta, as far north as Atlanta, they're questioning, will we potentially see snow January 10th? I think one of the things we also need to nail down here is we're looking at timing. So we're talking about, we'll be watching carefully, and something that you can have in your mind's eye will be that January 10th and 11th time frame. And another thing, Lee, that I think has been consistent, at least with these two model runs, while the snow line is farther north and widely divergent, what is consistent, the rain chances, and certainly cold air moving in. So I think we can still depend on cold and wet as we get into next weekend, at least with this current run.
And then also, you just mentioned the timing. So this next one I'm going to show you, different model, the European model,
okay.
And the timing is different on this one. So as we head towards January 10th, you'll notice you got to look way out to the west for any sort of system precipitation to start moving our way. So that's why Lou said 10th, 11th, maybe, the timing still not set in stone either. The GFS more consistent with January 10th. The European model is saying January 11th or 12th, perhaps. So this is the same day, the same time, just a different model, totally different setup and system. We're dry, we're cooling down, temperatures are dropping, but any sort of precipitation, whether it's rain or snow or sleet, it's way out to our west still. So again, Lou, it's not a surprise for us because this is normal for models to be so different 10 plus days out, over a week out. That's why we have a 7-day, not a 10-day forecast,
right.
But a 7-day forecast.
Right. And now so we take modeling and then you take life experience. And I mean, it's hard to get snow in Florida. Right, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to get snow anywhere across our deep south. I mean, Georgia and South Carolina, but it's hard to get snow in Florida. I mean, you have to go. And I know we've got some video. Andy, our guy working hard on the 1s and 2s from 1989. Right, so we had that December. You think back to the last time we had a true accumulation of snow, and you see there on your screen ice on windshields, people not knowing exactly what to do with themselves. We're talking December 23rd, 1989, where accumulations actually happened. That's a long time ago. I was 6. If you want to do the math real quick, but that's what we're dealing with, And then I'm not even asking you how old you were, Lee, because. I
wasn't born yet.
Yeah, right. Now I'm going to get depressed. But and then we go back to 2018 even. And if you remember 2018, there were some flurries reported around town. We couldn't find anything measurable in Jacksonville, like even a trace. But up towards Waycross, southeast Georgia in 2018, they had some very memorable accumulations between ice, but also some snow falling there. But those years, that's widely divergent, right? So you don't have history on your side when you're talking about these chances. So you have to kind of temper any sort of snowfall excitement. Even we're seeing all these computer model runs with the reality of it.
And like you said, also, by the way, just have to mention that 2018, I was in Lake City for that. Lots of ice there, too. Okay. We've had lots of icicles, and that was very cool for Floridians still, of course. But,
sledding.
This isn't to say, we know, we've been getting a lot of messages this past month when we've been talking about snow chances, and people always say, no, I saw flurries 2 years ago. And we're talking about accumulation of any sort of winter precipitation. We know that there can be little flurries that fall every once in a while, but this is actual accumulation. Now, Lou, something that we have coming up next to temperatures, and I've actually been keeping an eye on the comments on Facebook, and someone did comment, can you discuss the possible temperatures, because that's also all over social media. So that's what we were talking about. That's the one thing we're certain on is going to be cold.
Yeah, and you look at your computer model run here going out to January 10th. I mean, this would be temperatures 8 a.m. in the 30s. I mean,
you know what? I actually think I don't want to confuse our viewers. Let me back up and then play it again. You guys are getting a little behind the scenes view of our graphics here. Sure. I'm pretty sure it stopped running before that. So this is probably actually showing a January 9th. Maybe 11. Okay. You see the timestamp in the top? You see how the numbers stop changing before the timestamp does? So I'm sure the model's actually still trying to process in our graphics. Yeah. So we'll say this is midnight, January 9th, something around that time probably.
So and we've got a polar air mass that will make its way down into the area. So according to Climate Prediction Center and some of their modeling, which again, you kind of watch when you're talking 10 days out, carefully you think, but with confidence, with computer models sort of gearing in on the cooler air, I mean, there were some anomalies talking about 20 degrees, being 20 degrees below what would be climatology for the time of year, and this would be for lows. So there is potential for some brutally cold air coming in. We've already know, even just this weekend, it's not the brutally cold. We're going to get a cold front that comes in in time for the end of New Year's Day, and then Thursday for Tax Layer Gator Bowl Day. Cold air in place for the weekend, but we're looking ahead to next week, thinking that 10th, 11th time frame, next weekend. I mean, normal for time of year, early morning lows would be in the low 40s, we'll call it, 43 to 44 degrees across the month of January. But when you're talking about an anomaly 20 degrees colder than what's normal, I mean, you do the math, you're talking about low temperatures in the 20s. And that, with or without any sort of wintry precipitation, even if we're getting those temperatures, that's when it gets dangerous across the first coast. Of course, we're going to be reminding everyone pipes, pets, plants, people as we get into deeper into next week. So those temperatures we will have to watch very, very carefully. New Year's Day. Why not? Let's wrap it up. We've kind of, I think, ad nauseum spoken about what we've seen, the social media rumors, if you will, of what's going on. I don't think Lee and I are ruling it out. I mean, are you ruling it out? I'm not saying it's impossible.
Absolutely. I mean, with like what you said, with that Clipper system coming out of the Gulf, the cold air that's moving in, the ingredients are there. It's a possibility. We just have to, of course, wait the next couple of days to see if it will come together at the same time.
Exactly. So that's a good. So if to relate it to you at home, if you ever played the game Yahtzee, it would be like getting Yahtzee on the first roll. You get one chance. So all these six or so ingredients are going to have to come together. How many die are in a Yahtzee? Five. So you're going to have air temperature. You're going to have moisture. You're going to have timing. Those two things have to come together at the same time. If the moisture is falling sometime in the afternoon when temperatures are above freezing, it's a wash. You know what I mean? So all of these things you're going to have to get lined up in a one-roll Yahtzee, all sixes, for there to be snow. Is it impossible? I don't think so. We'll continue to watch. But in the meantime, Happy New Year. Lee, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You know, if you like the warm weather, because our comments, I'm loving the difference. Some people are saying, let it snow. Other people are saying, this is why I moved to Florida, so it would stay warm. So if you like the warm weather, enjoy the last day of the year today with these temperatures getting close to 80 degrees. It will be cold by next weekend.
Absolutely. All right, for Lee, I'm Lou. We're back on TV at noon if you want to join us on the traditional broadcast here on First Coast News. But every day we'll be updating along with our team of meteorologists what the winter weather outlook is going to be, especially as we get into next weekend. Y'all have a fantastic day. Happy New Year, everybody.